Alafia to each and every one. Salamta and blessed love. Honorable Priest Isaac here. It is with great joy that I am happy to announce to you that I have officially released my first ebook, Anno Ancient and Modern Revisited. This is the continuation process of our easy-to-read books. Within the pages of Anno Ancient and Modern Revisited, we take the time to show you the spiritual connection with the island of Antigua and Heliopolis in Kemet in Egypt, with the island of Antigua and the legendary continent of Atlantis. We also highlight Green Castle Hill, also known as Mount Anu, which is known as the Stonehenge of the Caribbean, with the countless of megaliths that align with the movements of the heavens. This is a must-read for all those who are students of the esoteric realms, astronomy, geology, and ancient sites. Of course, to get a copy of your book, all you have to do is to contact us at area code 1268-728-3162. Call, text, or even WhatsApp. Or you can email us at priestisaac27@gmail.com to get a copy of your ebook, Anno Ancient and Modern. It is an easy to read book, may appear light, but it is extremely heavy. Blessed love. The individuals now, you see the knights on the side of the steps, they align on the side of the steps, and Haile Selassie and the Queen's mother comes out. Now you will notice that they don't have on their hats. Is it because it's very windy? Nah, this is not how this goes at all, my brothers and sisters. This is ceremony, and this is an order. Only the women have on their hats. You can see the Queen and the Queen's mother with their hats. And I'm looking good. You will see that obviously the real knights, the soldiers, them in the armored knights, I should say, in them old-time Roman armored vibes, have on their headpiece. Now you will notice that as soon as Haile Selassie I puts on his headpiece, check it. It is only when Haile Selassie I put on his headpiece, you could see the guards in the back putting on their headpiece. Look at that. Nothing here is by mistake. This is not just happening by chance. The knights cannot put on their hats. Prince Charles doesn't put on his hat. In fact, it is when Prince Charles enters the buggy that you see Prince Charles put his hat on his head, and then they roll out. Now what is happening here? Greater than Solomon is here. You may not see that, but they understand what's going on. So this is why I'm saying that even from the time of the King Edward III, and that third is very mystic, King Edward and his son, the Black Prince, Prince Edwards, the Black Prince, Prince Edwards, the Prince of Wales, interesting language. And now the current Prince of Wales is Prince Charles. Prince Charles Edwards, Charles Edwards, the Black, wait, what is this? Don't play around with And we definitely do give thanks for the life giver and the keeper of life, Kadamawa Haile Selassie. Yes, glorify, give thanks once again. Remember, this is the mystic vibration. You're definitely into the shock of the hour. And as I said, we will be going into the economic hitman, not just the confessions. As I said earlier, most of you would know of the confessions of the economic hitman, and that is John Perkins, who, according to his words, a former employee of the CIA and the US government, and he would go into different countries and strike a deal, and if the deal wasn't struck, somebody would still get struck down. And that is how he became a hitman, not just economically, but a hitman. And of course, you know, he produced the book, The Confessions of the Economic Hitman. And he has been on many different programs, television programs, you know, news interviews with some of the top news agencies, and confessing, you know, how many men he hit as such. And basically, as I said, he is well known, and most of you, I'm sure, have come across, if not his book, at least come across an interview here or there of him, at least have some knowledge of him. And if not, well, we're going to take the opportunity to introduce you and reintroduce you to him. And why I thought it was necessary, as you know, a few months ago we did a series directly dealing with the economic state of the black nation. Now, this was a 5-part series, shock of the hour series, and we basically put almost all of the parts, the episodes on the YouTube, you know, because I thought and still think, and will always, that it is a very important subject area that we, you know, tend not to, you know, address enough. Not just the economic state, even our health and wellness. There's certain subject areas we tend not to address enough. And I would agree that one must understand that even what you think and believe, as we call it, has a lot to do with your spiritual connection and your connection to the cosmics, you know. But at the same time, there are other things that are in real time that we have to address. And when we talk about the economic state of us as a people, I mean, we got to even meditate on the economic hitmen that are around. Let me show you. Remember, when we addressed that subject area, we went into it from different angles, or I should say different levels and angles. This is why we saw that it was necessary for us to go into the economic state. We had to go into the whole aspect of money, and we had to go into the whole aspect of finance. And within such, these are different terms for different things. History was very important for us to comprehend the whole aspect of not just the history of the literal money, which carried us even into the ancient history of our own ancient dynasties and kings. I mean, you can find from the kings of Ethiopia to, of course, the great kings of West Africa, the great kings and queens of all over ancient El Kabulan. You find us using that medium of exchange that people call money. On the coins, the great Hannibal, on the coins, the great king Izana, on the coins, you know, and you could go on the medium of exchange. So all of that is history. If you're really dealing with building an economic empire, really, you have to comprehend, quote unquote, money from, again, these different angles. I mean, you have to take time to know the history of the banksters and exactly what is taking place in the international community, which Mr. Perkins will explain a little more as we go along in this program this evening. You know, this is why we had to really break down the Red Shield, the Rothschild Empire, and explain exactly what is taking place there as well. You know, if you're really talking about empire building, you have to understand. Remember, most of these banks, you know, I mean that you have around, especially here in the Caribbean, the reality is you can trace them back to being slave owners. You know, the Royal Bank of this and this company and and off the shores of Nova Scotia and all of them people there. These are former, using the term so loosely, it's almost drop off of the sentence, former slave holders and merchants and traders and all sorts of things, and whippers and killers and crackers. And this is the reality I'm speaking of. So I'm just saying now, at the same time, these are the same individuals that seem and appears to have their foot on the neck of the poor up to now. The same poor that run and bring their money to them and say, oh, Mr. So-and-so from off the shores of Nova Scotia, please put this money in your Royal Bank for me. I know it'll be good with you, sir. I'm getting 10% at the end of the year, huh? Of course, I will never take it out. And, yeah, and all of that, and that money there, you'll never get it back neither. Because when you go for the 10,000 that you put in, sometimes they give you horrors. They tell you they can only give you half and come back next week and we see what we can work out. I mean, when I brought it, there was no problem. Because that money is being invested to build another bank and another casino and some more cruise ship, and that's just the reality, whether we like it or not. So this is why we took time, that's my point, to go into the economic state of us as a people. It's nice to talk about building business. We spoke about that too, that's what I'm saying. We tried our best. You know, we're not, I'm not an economist, but I think I tried my best, at least as an individual that tries his best to do his research, to look at the different avenues that we could address in that series that we did. And I would invite anyone who never really took the time to sit on that series, the economic state of us as a people, the economic state of the black nation, please, just take your time and take a look at it. Even that whole black nation thing, we even took time just to address that, just because we wanted our words and our outlook to be clear. Whether you say it's black or African, or I don't use the word African, it's El Kebulan, or no, it's Nubia, or Nubia was the real word, no, we're Anunnakis, and I mean, people, you argue day and night. I'm sure, according to the scientific terms that we've been given, whether it's from Latin or Greek, I'm speaking about the melanated individuals with the specific type of hair that is known in the cosmic as the ninth ether. And we know who we're talking about, whatever name you try to stamp us with, or no, we're really Moors or Aboriginals, but you know who I'm talking about. All right, these individuals here, these are the ones that I'm addressing within that series that I did, directly dealing with the economic state of these specific people. All right, we'll go no more into that. I'm just inviting you to, take a look at it. The economic hitman. And of course, I'm just going to go straight into an interview. Well, it's really sections of an interview done by Brother John Perkins here. And we will just comment as we go along.
We economic hitmen really have been the ones responsible for creating this first truly global empire. And we work many different ways. But perhaps the most common is that we will identify a country that has resources our corporations covet, like oil, and then arrange a huge loan to that country from the World Bank or one of its sister organizations. But the money never actually goes to the country. Instead, it goes to our big corporations to build infrastructure projects in that country, power plants, industrial parks, ports, things that benefit a few rich people in that country, in addition to our corporations.
Now, before we go too far, let's go through it step by step for the moment, Yes, just bear with me, or tiger with me, really. So he's just making it plain, just in case it went over your head, that we target countries, more so third world countries, that have specific minerals and resources, oil and other good stuff. He just said so. And then we'll, buck up on them and say that we give you a loan. Come on, we just make a little agreement for you to pay us back, and we link them up with one of the international bankers, the IMF or somebody like that. The IMF, oh man, I'm telling you. And he started by saying that we are really the ones really responsible, we economic hitmen, responsible for the beginning of this global capitalistic empire. I'm really paraphrasing, but I know what he's saying. Let us continue.
But really don't help the majority of the people at all. However, those people, the whole country is left holding a huge debt. And such a big...
And before he goes on, he also said that the money that they give them, the loan, which they don't really give them in their hand, the money just goes to big corporations, their brothers, to come in to do some work in the country. And the poor people really, they don't benefit. And it leaves the country in debt. And there was this movie that they did on Jamaica and the IMF. I think it's on the YouTube. Man, you should watch that.
Debt they can't repay it, and that's part of the plan. They can't repay it. And so at some point, we economic hitmen go back to them and say, listen, you owe us a lot of money, can't pay your debt, so sell your oil real cheap to our oil companies. Allow us to build a military base in your country, or send troops in support of ours to someplace in the world like Iraq, or vote with us on the next UN vote to have their electric utility company privatized and their water and sewage system privatized and sold to U.S. corporations or other multinational corporations. So there was that whole mushrooming thing, and it's so typical of the way the IMF and the World Bank work, that you put a country in debt, it's such a big debt it can't pay it, and then you offer to refinance that debt and pay even more interest. And you demand this quid pro quo, which you call a conditionality or good governance, which means basically that they've got to sell off their resources, including many of their social services, their utility companies, their school systems sometimes, their penal systems, their insurance systems, to foreign corporations. So it's a double, triple, quadruple whammy.
I don't know if you're getting all of this, and so it is very clear the country cannot pay their debt, and so, well, basically what you'd have to do now is to sell your oil and your mineral, your gold, your diamonds, whatever it is that you do have that we plan to exploit from you. You got to sell it dirt cheap to our guys, to our fellas. You got to make sure for little or nothing, nickels and dimes, if that much. So the exploitation begins, down, on the poor.
If you put a country in debt, it's such a big debt it can't pay it, and then you offer to refinance that debt and pay even more interest. And you demand this quid pro quo, which you call a conditionality or good governance, which means basically that they've got to sell off their resources, including many of their social services, their utility companies, their school systems sometimes, their penal systems, their insurance systems, to foreign corporations. So it's a double, triple, quadruple whammy.
So because you cannot pay your debt now, you basically sell the country and sell the people. As you heard the hitman say, your penal system. That's your jail, your judicial system, your educational system, your schools, your system, you just sold out, basically, just because you cannot pay the loan that never really came to you, that really went to the big boys, that you have to sell all your good minerals, natural minerals from the Most High for nothing, your water, everything, your bauxite, your cocoa. You have to give them a vote at the UN. You have to back them when they're going into war because you owe them money. Good governance. Might get worse than that. That's life, man.
The precedent for economic hitmen really began back in the early 50s when democratically elected Mosaddegh, who was elected in Iran, he was considered to be the hope for democracy in the Middle East.
This is where it began, in the early 1950s, with the, as he said, and I know why he, stated that, the democratically elected Mosaddegh in Iran. All right. He was said to be the hope for democracy in the Middle East.
Around the world, he was Time Magazine's Man of the Year. But one of the things that he'd run on and began to implement was the idea that foreign oil companies needed to pay the Iranian people a lot more for the oil that they were taking out of Iran. The Iranian people should benefit from their own oil. Strange policy.
Now, you see, this is a headline. Iran acts to take over the British oil assets. So Mosaddegh now is saying that these foreign oil companies should be paying Iran much more money than they pay in Iran. All right.
We didn't like that, of course.
I'm telling you.
But we were afraid to do what we normally were doing, which was to send in the military. Instead, we sent in one CIA agent, Kermit Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt's relative. And Kermit went in with a few $1 million and was very, very effective and efficient. And in a short amount of time, he managed to get Mosaddegh overthrown.
Now you hear what he's saying there. They were afraid. They were afraid to do what they would usually do. So what would you usually do? We would usually, play the bad boy game and kick down your door and rifle and try to colonialize you, and they said no. They sent in one CIA agent. How many? One CIA agent. Kermit Roosevelt. Kermit Roosevelt hopped in to Iran, and within a few, Mosaddegh was done with. I'm telling you, listen good.
Efficient, and in a short amount of time, he managed to get Mosaddegh overthrown and brought in the Shah of Iran to replace him, who always was favorable to oil. And it was extremely effective.
Bombs overflow Tehran. Army officers shout that Mossadegh has surrendered and his regime as virtual dictator of Iran is ended. Pictures of the Shah are paraded through the streets as sentiment reverses. The Shah is welcomed home.
So back here in the United States, in Washington, people looked around and said, wow, that was easy and cheap. So this established a whole new way of manipulating countries, of creating empire. The only problem with Roosevelt was that he was a card-carrying CIA agent, and had he been caught, the ramifications could have been pretty serious. So very quickly at that point, the decision was made to use private consultants to channel the money through the World Bank or the IMF or one of the other such agencies, to bring in people like me who worked for private companies, so that if we got caught, there would be no governmental ramifications.
So if they got caught, there would be no
When Árbenz became
governmental ramification. So basically, he's telling you now that everything was going good, but the only problem is that Kermit Roosevelt, you know, he was a card-carrying CIA agent, and if he got caught, it would look bad for the U.S. government. So when they brought down Mossadegh, they brought in the Shah. When you hear about the Shah of Iran, so now this is when 1953 or 54, somewhere thereabouts. So they bring in the Shah of Iran. Now, many who, you know, may not take the time to go into the depths of history may not know that the Shah of Iran was given a title. The title is the King of Kings. If you look up the Shah of Iran, he's given the title the King of Kings. Not Negusa Negas, but the King of Kings. Now keep in mind here, you know, that what John Perkins is saying is that this was really the beginning of it all for us as the economic hitman squad. We were usually, you know, accustomed to coming with the guns and the bombs and bow, bow, bow. But this time we did it another way. And when they fell Mossadegh, they brought in the Shah, who they named the King of Kings. Now I always say there's a reason why Mussolini is not spoken of too much in history. Because you see, when you speak of Mussolini, you just automatically have to speak of Emperor Haile Selassie I. I mean, if you get over that, I don't know what you have to say about Mussolini. Yeah. So they kind of keep him out of history a little bit too. They would like to say a little more, but you're taking a chance there. It is only now you kind of see them freed up, because, you know, information is just all around. But what I'm saying is, even in that time now, Haile Selassie being crowned the King of Kings, Negusa Negas in Ethiopia, and Mussolini came in and did what he did, and that was the end of Mussolini. His own people hung him upside down, you know, his own people. World War II going on, all of these League of Nations fellas battling it out on the battlefield while the emperor is rebuilding Ethiopia. You gotta keep that in mind, the emperor rebuilding Ethiopia while the enemy is out there battling it out. And the first chance they get to topple a quote-unquote dictator, they put somebody in the place of this dictator and call him the King of Kings. Interesting, you know. So I'm just saying, you know, because within all respect, as I even told on one documentary that we did there, that is is Haile Selassie a Mason. And let me say once again, remember that video lecture is available. Is Haile Selassie the First a Mason, and it comes free with your subscription to the Shock of the Hour monthly subscription of this program. But even as I said, even in that program there, we got to be careful as Rastafari, specifically not throwing away the baby with the bath water. And I'm not going to go into the depths of that right now, because that was reserved in its depths for that video lecture that we did, the first of the video lectures that we will be doing monthly. So by the, well, I'm not going to give you a date yet, but for sure by next month, the second of the video lectures will be made available, you know. But as I said in that video lecture, when I brought down the whole concept of the Solomon now, because we broke it down, the Solomon and the Knights of the Garter ceremony. Remember, I was showing you, for those who have seen the video, the ceremony going in and coming out of Windsor Castle and the position that Haile Selassie took, even in that movement there. So now, he himself now, replacing Prince Charles, who was not in the processional line. He was walking with them, but not in the line. He was out of the line. He didn't have a place in the procession itself, because the emperor took his place, you know, and we broke it down in this fullness as the Knights of the Garter and the relation to Solomon. But I'm just saying all of that to come again to the whole aspect of being crowned in Ethiopia as Negas, you know. Again now, it is obvious that the enemies of the progression of Ethiopia tried their best to infiltrate that whole dynastic spirit, to bring in the place or in the way of the progression another character that they were given this title in the English tongue, King of Kings, you know. So it's obvious that the Negus of Ethiopia, the Negusa Negas himself and his lineage is a genuine lineage. This ain't no makeup lineage. Nobody give us this lineage. This is pure from the Nile lineage, the Kush dynastic lineage. This is what we're leaning on. So if you don't believe in Solomon and you don't believe in this or that, that is up to you. I'm showing you that the ancient Kushite dynasty of Ethiopia is older than all of that. All allegory. This is the creation dynasty that I'm talking about. That we saw manifested in its full form in Kadamawe, Emperor Haile Selassie, the first Negas. So we ain't sitting on nobody's throne but our own. So this is why the demon had to make a king of kings. I mean, I shouldn't even be talking about them foolishness there. This is why the demon had to make a king of kings. He had to make a puppet, a dolly. If he had a king of kings, he wouldn't make no king of kings. If the demon had a king of kings, he wouldn't make no king of kings. He made the Shah the king of kings in 1954. And I don't want my audience to believe I'm taking no shot of nobody specific, you know, because I know you have seen me interviewed specific brethren. Them is my brethren, and what I telling you, I tell them to their face. You know, I'm just letting you know. I'm not here to entertain, you know, so I don't want you to feel I'm, taking a shot at anybody. I ain't taking no shot. I just expressing, especially for the understanding of I and I. So the demon created a king of kings. He was the Shah, who replaced Mosaddegh. And he brought the country to turmoil. And they continued the same thing in the Congo. So when we were talking about the economic state of our people, we mentioned the Congo from the 1960s. I'm trying to tell you and show you that Haile Selassie is the conquering lion. So all the Freemasonic talk as well, even, not just Freemasonic, even the Illuminati talk now. If you understand history properly, it is Haile Selassie the first, that crushed the Illuminati. What do you think happened when he stand before the League of Nations in 1936 on the 30th day of June, spitting them ciphers out of his mouth? them swords, mystic, is licky now the Illuminati. You yourself, oh, United Nations is Illuminati. Oh, League of Nations is Illuminati. So do you know the history of the League of Nations then? What happened to the League of Nations? What become of the League of Nations? Eh? Oh, come on. The Knights of the Garter, brother. You know what the head of that represent? Kedus Girugis, St. George, slewing the dragon. Yeah. So when it comes to the whole aspect of the secret society and all of that stuff, strong infiltration within all sectors of society of the world, and even honest, shrewd expression. That's why Haile Selassie is really exervere. I'm talking about Negusa Nagasa Baba John I. Unknowing to many of us, warding off them evil spirits, warding off them evil democracy, warding off all these evil infiltrations and economic hitmen. You know, think the economic hitmen try come into the palace of Addis Ababa, and I'm sure they may have come and wine and dine, and you just never hear from them again. You think this is a joke? Man, you think we have time to play? Idi Amin. Why you think the man do not play with spies? Bring the economic hitmen, no? Bring them. Bring Kermit the Frog, no, man. With Roosevelt, no? Bring them in, no? We show you what's going on. Give thanks, you know, getting a little joyful thing here. But anyway, let's get back on script here. So, yeah, so I'm just showing you, basically, and just for that last point, just for clarity, Rastafari, all of the Illuminati and Illuminati talk, Haile Selassie, unlike any other leader that you know, you can't be a leader. If you understand geopolitics, man, you cannot be no leader for them long time there, so. Them people don't take you out. That's why people say, boy, rule too long and too long and too long. But they just cannot take out the King of Kings, Negus and Negas. Yeah, but anyway. So Perkins now is showing you exactly how the cookie crumbles, basically, you know, and the whole economic hitman saga now really began in 1950 and 4, and I wasn't really trying to push no theology a moment ago, but just showing you the reality of the presence of Haile Selassie during that time. This is important. And according to Perkins himself, the beginning of the whole economic hitman, you know, vibration began with them throwing down the king of Persia and bringing on a new fella and crowning him King of Kings. I mean, that's too obvious in such a time when the King of Kings really rocking the earth, done see to the opening of the same United Nations as well and all of these things, and stopping different warring factions within different parts of Africa and other parts of the world, the peacemaker, the great counselor, Negus and Negas. I'm telling you. Let's go into Guatemala there.
When Árbenz became president of Guatemala, the country was very much under the thumbs of United Fruit Company, the big international corporations. And Árbenz ran on this ticket that says, you know, we want to get the land back to the people. And once he took power, he was implementing policies that would do exactly that, give land rights back to the people. United Fruit didn't like that very much. And so they hired a public relations firm, launched a huge campaign in the United States to convince the United States, the people, the citizens of the United States, and the press of the United States, and the Congress of the United States, that Árbenz was a Soviet puppet, and that if we allowed him to stay in power, the Soviets would have a foothold in this hemisphere. And that at that point in time was a huge fear on everybody's mind, the Red Terror, the Communist Terror. And so, to make a long story short, out of this public relations campaign came a commitment on the part of the CIA and the military to take this man out. And in fact, we did. We sent in planes, we sent in soldiers, we sent in jackals, we sent everything in to take him out, and did take him out. And as soon as he was removed from office, the new guy that took over after him basically reinstated everything to the big international corporations, including United Fruit.
So, United Fruit and all of these companies. So Árbenz now. So Árbenz is the leader of Guatemala at the time, and he, same thing. He was not too directly pleased with United Fruit in the country, exploiting, of course, the mineral wealth, Guatemala now. So what we're talking about, water, and of course bananas and the land in general and whatever else was taking place. And sometimes the indigenous people are not happy at all with the sort of vibration that these people give to the land. There's no sacredness in how they deal with the land. Pesticide and herbicides and all them things destroy the land, the whole fertility of the land, the nature of the land, the spirit of the land. And a lot of these people, Guatemala you're talking about, man. So this area of the world, you have a lot of people that are connected to nature. So you wouldn't be surprised that the people in general are rising up. The people in general are asking for the government to get the United Fruit out, and etc., etc. So Árbenz is a man that was of the people and worked for that. The CIA, according to Perkins, wasn't too pleased about that, and they just began to work. They made sure they passed whatever to make sure the world see him as connected to Russia and communism. And as I always say, that's just a part of the game as well. I'm not trusting none of them sides. That other side there that they like to link people with is just a part of the whole game. All of them is brothers, but they make a kind of enemy of this fella here now. So if you're a friend with this fella here, you're not a friend of us. So Cuba is a friend with Russia, and Grenada, Maurice Bishop, Maurice Bishop and Patrice Lumumba. This is what they charge them with. They're linking up with the Russians. But these brothers is not no linking up with no Russians. They were just like any open government. They were open. They were free. And they wanted to be, open with everyone. So they opened to everyone. It is the US that was snubbing them even before they opened to everyone. And so the everyone that they opened to started to send them finance. They got finance from other places, but the moment that the Russians say they're going to open a little airfield in Grenada or whatever, all of a sudden they're building a military base, and then all of a sudden they moved Maurice Bishop. So what I'm saying is, Haile Selassie, I'll bring that in again, Haile Selassie opened to the Russians too. The Russians came and eat and sit and talk. Long time too, not just in the 70s, long time. And as I'm saying, as a third world country, as they would refer to it, a developing country as it was branded, you don't just open to no Russians. So this is what I'm trying to show us. This is not Bible, this is geopolitics and history. You understand the science. So there had to be a science working there for Negus Negas to can just pull off them things clear in the sight of the world, and nobody can talk. And even if they talk and try a thing, something's holding them back. So this is a lot of shrewd diplomacy, a lot of science as well that is going through the earth. So I'm showing all of this, to understand the scope and the time that was taking place, the scope that was taking place in that time. As I said, Árbenz now, back to that part of the conversation, Guatemala, a warrior against the different companies that were coming in. They didn't like that. As Mr. Perkins says, they went and they worked on him right away. And when he was removed, the fella that came in, he brought in United Fruit one time. And I'm saying, you know, that this is what is taking place all over the world. You know? That's the point. This is happening internationally. You know, but again, the scope, because Árbenz now is the same 1950, 51, 54, somewhere along that time, you know. And of course, they linked it with the Russian thing again, you know. So from your link with the Russian at that time, even now, but I mean, come on. I mean, everybody have seen the picture with what's his name? What's the president, man? Donald Trump shaking hands with Kim Jong-un, and they're smiling and greeting and say, yeah, watch that, look at that, man. Yeah, we supposed to feel that is Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan there, you know, but anyway, maybe that's exactly what it is. And let's continue with a little more here. This is interesting. Yeah,
Ecuador for many, many years has been ruled by pro-U.S. dictators, often
so this is Ecuador, 1981 now.
Relatively brutal. Then it was decided that they were going to have a truly democratic election. Jaime Roldós ran for office, and his main goal, he said, as president, would be to make sure that Ecuador's resources were used to help the people. And he won, overwhelming, by more votes than anybody had ever won anything in Ecuador. And he began to implement these policies to make sure that the profits from oil went to help the people. Well, we didn't like that in the United States. I was sent down as one of several economic hitmen to change Roldós, to corrupt him, to bring him around, to let him know, you know, okay, you know, you can get very rich, you and your family, if you play our game, but if you continue to try to keep these policies you've promised, you're going to go. You wouldn't listen.
Hear that, you know, hear what Perkins said, man. He went down to tell the leader of Ecuador, Roldós, that listen, man, you got to play by our game. This is 1981, so he was going on with the same, Samson vibration, feel like he's some kind of Rambo, and yeah, nobody taking our resources, and yeah, we gotta feed our own people. Oh my goodness, that stuff doesn't work. I don't know who you think we are on this planet, brother, but we're wasting time. That don't work. You're just joking around, man. Pardon me, the spirit just catch me, man. So Perkins is saying that he, Perkins now, was the one that went down to Ecuador and told him, you got to play by our rules, or else you got to go, and he did not listen. Pardon.
He was assassinated.
He was assassinated, Rasta.
As soon as the plane crashed, the whole area was cordoned off.
Crash!
The only people allowed in were U.S. military from a nearby base and some of the Ecuadorian military. When an investigation was launched, two of the key witnesses died in car accidents before they had a chance to testify. A lot of very, very strange things that went on around.
Not strange, you know what? Two of the key witnesses died in car crashes. You see, I'm telling you now. I have my son here with me too, so I'm speaking to everyone. You see, this is why, man. I feel a lot of people have this as a joke, you know. A lot of people don't, and especially this conscious talk, and this liberation talk, and this and that talk. I don't think we're nearly ready, even in our mind. Hear this. Just listen to this. Just listen to this. And some will say, brother, we can beat that with the spirits. Well, this may surprise you, but I know for sure the spirits alone can mash down all of that. we don't do enough spiritual stuff. And that's real, and whatever spiritual stuff may be done, you gotta have a clean hand and pure heart. And this is a balance now. We need a proper balance of the physical and the spiritual. And people, this is serious, man. Just to be what we're doing here, this ain't no secret meeting. You think this is a secret meeting? Like only us hearing? Even if it was a secret meeting in cyberspace, you think it's a secret meeting? What in cyberspace is secret? You done delete things, boy, and they can't find, boy. I wish I did delete that and the computer crash and I am positive there is someone you could call and tell them my name is so and so. I lost this and that 5 years ago in my computer. Do you have it? I can find it for you. Yeah. So there's no secret here. Ain't no secret. This is serious stuff. This is serious, man. That's my point. Some of us, we have it as a joke. We have it as dress up. We have it like as in sing song and giggle and goggle and how much you know and how much I know and how much I smarter than you and all them kind of things. No, man, this is life and death, man. So even as a people now, as a people then, man, because this don't have nothing to do with any special one that's in the front, you know. It's them that not in the front in trouble, you know, man. It's them that feel like, boy, that battle too hot to go into. Which battle too hot to go into? You in the battle, you better fight. You in the ocean, you better swim. So those who feel they don't need to join the battle, they ain't no join no battle. You in the battle. I'm telling you. Let me be square here. Man, they have solar flares now, man, that can lick out the whole electric grid of a nation. And not just solar flare alone, the mishap of men alone can lick out that. Woe be unto anyone that's in any of these winter countries during the winter time, and your heat and your gas and electricity go even for 24 hours. So we gotta be real. Don't tell me it can't happen. And Uncle Sam cannot put it back on. Don't tell me it cannot happen. I just gave it a minimal time of a day. And in many cases, during a specific time of the year, man, even if it's for 4 hours, we're in problems. That's what I'm talking about. So it's a real world. That's how real it gets. Certain grids can go, certain connection can go, and airplanes would fall out of the sky. Not one, you know. Multiple at one time because it lock off. You know that. So let's be real in this time. So the man is saying that the plane crashed. Them killers crash planes to take out who they want, man. You think this is a joke? And then you have the witnesses that are ready to come and say something about what really happened, and the cars, both of them die in car crashes. Car crash. So who are you? What you really doing? That they can't just say, look, I don't like how this nigga here is speaking, you know? Just take him out. I hope that didn't surprise you there, but just that is, I mean, yeah. What was he doing there? He's opening a vegan restaurant now. This Trump is trying to make the, you know, these niggas well. Yeah. And sometimes they don't take you out right away, you know. do something to see if you stop, you know, shut you down, or do something to make the people ostracize you, or something, mar you in the eyes of the people. But once you keep it up, they say, no man, this ain't gonna, he ain't stopping, he's another Malcolm X. This is another little road, you know what I mean? Nelson Mandela, let's lock him up. Spend enough time in there and never know what he may come out as. Yeah. Another Martin Luther King. He was going good for a while, but it seems like he's having some different, you know, ideological outputs. So it's just reality, you know. They want to make it sound like no doom and gloom, but this is what it is, people. So you all better be just comfortably here with your 9 to 5. You better be comfortable. You can pay your little light bills, and you know I'm serious, man. Don't take it as a joke. Listen, you know me. This is how I am. So don't be offended if you feel like mocking anybody. I just freeing up myself. You know, that's how you know. And if it's mocking, you call it. You hear me mock my own people and my own self. So I'm not mocking no one, but I'm just saying. Okay, you want me to mock somebody else? You mock somebody else. Well, me alright, me good. You can buy some bread in the morning. Yeah, me good, yeah. Picking nigga can go to school, me alright, me nothing else. And me can sleep good, and God willing, me can see tomorrow morning. Yeah. So we alright, and you better stay so. Because the moment you start to think too smart, and any little thing you do, they start to watch you, know? Any little community service, even that, you know? Yeah, we will do some community service here. These children need a nice warm meal to eat in the afternoon. All right, leave them alone. Somebody got to do that. We got to make it look good. They need good vegan food. We're detoxing the children. We don't want no vaccine in our community. Who are these niggas down there? So it changed. Because vaccine now, you're going into another territory. You're going into the pharmaceuticals. You're going into big business, and you're stopping that, and it get too strong, and the prime minister saying, I'm looking into this because my child is starting school next month, and I don't want him vaccine. Prime minister talking so. Oh, you got another Maurice Bishop on your hand. You have another Patrice Lumumba on your hand. It'll be good if you have the spirit of Haile Selassie. Maybe you can implement it and nobody can touch him. That's history I talking. No fairy tale. No Bible necessary to express that. The King of Kings, Negus and Nagas, not the Shah. You know? And I'm talking real time, the time of the economic hitman. This is the time when Perkins himself telling you, once you're playing around and you're not running their game, you topple in. And again, some of us as rats will say, well, that's why the king never toppled. Why? Because he was playing their game. Yeah. So why is it they name a next man the King of Kings? Why they had to get a next King of Kings? If he was the King of Kings and he was doing real good, that people worshiping him and so, why change the game, man? Why fix it if it's not broken? Don't be playing around with me, man. So when we say the Almighty I, untouchable and unconquerable, Haile Selassie, we talking about no fairy tale, no spooky nothing, no make-believe. You don't have to spice it up and extra it up and bring no esoteric allegory and pretend like that's how it go. You don't have to say Haile Selassie fly over nothing and stop on no bomb and lick off no bullet with his cape, and even if he can do it, but all that not necessary. No sugar and salt, please, for us. Let's leave it as it is. Unconquerable. Yeah. The conquering lion. Don't be playing around. They have that documentary, you know. Let me find that right now before we seal up here. Yeah. Look, Perkins, I done with you for tonight, man. I just wanted to seal up with this here now. There's a documentary on Haile Selassie. A BBC documentary. And, you know, one of these times I think we should do a whole episode on that documentary. And you might find this funny, you know. I had no intention of really coming and speaking of the Lion of Judah, you know. But, yeah.
Slogans take command.
Oh boy.
Haile Selassie.
Okay, listen to this here. I know many of you have seen this documentary. We're sealing up now.
20 years before that.
Okay.
But
Yes. Hear what this man say now.
power and
Uh-oh. Let's listen. No. Come on, don't go nowhere. Okay, this is the documentary Lion of Judah. Listen.
Haile Selassie is a lonely man now. His wife, 2 sons, a daughter are all dead, and though others remain to keep him company now and then, the essential solitude of his life on the tightrope of power must grow more oppressive every year. On one side, there's still the old Ethiopian world of feudal power and tradition.
Listen.
On the other, there's the new challenge of his own reforms, the educated youngsters and the modern army officers who want the world and would like it now. They're the upper and nether millstones which have ground many a good man exceeding small, especially in this century.
Okay, now he said a lot. I mean, can't go through everything, but said Haile Selassie is a lonely man now, something. This is in 1970 or 71. And he's saying the roles of power, paraphrasing, must grow more oppressive every year. And then he said on one side you still have the conservatives basically who don't want to change and land reform, etc. And then the other side you have the young students who went away to college and they want change and they want it now and it's not moving too fast. Yeah. And the man goes on to say, now this narrator goes on to say, they are the upper and nether millstone that has ground many a leader exceedingly small, especially in this time. Hear that, you know, man. Now, this is 1970 plus, you know. So the emperor is 80 plus going here now. The man on the throne ruling Ethiopia 50 whatever years. I just calling these, no disrespect of course to Kadama with the ever living eye. So, but the emperor now at this time here, more than done run the race. And he's saying, well, you know, all of these things that coming against him, they are the upper and nether millstone. You know, the upper and nether millstone, this is what you have in a grinding mill. That grind, well, in this case, I believe is more grinding corn and these things to bring it down to the meal, you know. But you can just think, whatever you grind in. So these oppressive factions here, the elders, the young ones, I want this, I want that, we need to do this now, you're going too fast, you're moving too slow. The man is saying that they're the upper and nether millstone that has ground many leaders, exceedingly small. Who is there many leaders? Remember Perkins give you a list of people and he went in even into more people, you know, that they brought to nothing. And one of the ways that they brought them to nothing is through propaganda. That's what Kermit did when he went into Iran, is through propaganda and turned the people eye away from the leader and let them fight and rise up against their commanders and say they're moving too slow and they're dictatorial. Years they tried that on Idi Amin. Years. That's why they get so hot on Idi Amin, because he did too long and they're not working. And they pile it on and pile it on and pile it on, and it just waste the time. Just check it, man. They need to follow your history good. Up to now, they're still bittering them out because, you know, Idi Amin, man. That's how they turn on countries, you know. And bring one of the more thriving countries in Ethiopia. We already proved that on many documentaries, that Uganda was thriving countries in Africa, pardon me, that Uganda was of the highest standard and living, nobody begging in the streets and none of these different things. That is well proven. We have Jon Snow and other reporters, we already put that out. No make believe and no lying business. You understand? So I'm just trying to show the economic hitmen, you don't think they step into Uganda? and tried to infiltrate Ethiopia, the upper and nether millstone that has ground many leaders exceedingly small, especially in this time. That's what the man said. You know.
To have survived them for the better part of 55 years in power is something unequaled by any ruler in the world today.
To have survived them for the better part of 55 years is something unequaled by any leader in the world today. Unequal mean nobody did it. Nobody. To have survived all of this for 55 years is unequal. Nobody else in the world can be compared. That's what the narrator said. This is not a Rasta talking, you know. The narrator, he narrated for the BBC. To have survived them for the better part of 55 years is unequal by any leader, none in the world. Hear the man say now.
No wonder the Lion of Judah has become one of the living legends of our time.
No wonder the Lion of Judah has become a living legend. You know what a legend is? A legend, when a country has a legend, you know, it's some old time dead story, you know. A legend is, you become a legend when you really die, you know. That's why they refer to him as a living legend. He is a living legend. No wonder, that's what he said. No wonder the Lion of Judah is a living legend in this time.
But if they say that Haile Selassie is ruling for too long, he's been alive up to this day, then how come they never say that about Queen Elizabeth? She's been alive up to this day. No, seriously.
I get you, of course, yeah, very much. Give thanks. So, very wonderful. Negus and Negas represents and is that St. George that conquered the dragon. And this is history that shows this. So the hitmen, the snipers, the assassins, the infiltrators, the spies, and to us as races, and all the pretty pictures we see of the emperor and the salute and smiling and shaking hand with this and that, it is pure warfare. War games, not even games, chess, the art of war, Shaolin business, mortal and immortal combat taking place there. And one of these days, we're going to sit down on the YouTube and I show you when Haile Selassie visited the Pope of Rome, and you could see within that video the literal battlefield that was taking place. Yeah, in fact, that may be our second video lecture. The battlefield that took place in 1970 when Haile Selassie visited Pope Paul VI. The video is up on the internet. But there's certain things that took place in that video that we'd have to watch it and I guide you through and show you, look at that, watch this, and you see that it is obvious beyond a shadow of the doubt. I mean, you know, I'm not going to bring nothing to you, you know, that at the end you're not going to say, okay, I see the point, this is really something else. Yeah, at the end of that you would see that it was a war taking place in that Vatican room when Haile Selassie I sat down with the Pope. Swords flying and things, man. But anyway, when we do that video lecture, if that is the next one we do, we will present that. So give thanks, you know. And speaking of video lecture, as I said, His Haile Selassie Mason is available. It is a must-see. And remember, when you subscribe for the month, the subscription specifically, not the YouTube subscription again, you know, the subscription for this program, which is the Shock of the Hour program. When you subscribe for the Shock of the Hour program, remember you get the video lecture for that specific month free of cost. The video lecture, every month we produce a brand new video lecture, and we will be doing that from now on. So every month we have a brand new video lecture available, and we send that video lecture just straight through your email. You receive it in your inbox. And the video lecture specifically every month, a different topic, different subject area. But I'm showing you now that remember that we also have a monthly subscription for the Shock of the Hour program, which is this program that you are listening to. So every month you subscribe to this program and you get every edition of the program, which is one per evening. That means every Monday to Thursday, the Shock of the Hour comes on, a part of the Mystic Vibration, a program that starts at 6 p.m. right here on Radio Anu. And then, of course, when the program is completed, you do get a copy of this program in your inbox right away. And this comes with the subscription, obviously. So for the whole month, you get the program. So if you miss the program, you still will get the program. Or if you want to hear the program again, you still will get the program, and you take the program, you save it, put it in your library, put it in your archives, whatever the case is, it's available. So when you make that subscription now, you get the program, the video lecture, which will come out once every month. So with your subscription this month, as I said, available for you, we have the video lecture itself with Haile Selassie, a Mason, and that will answer it clear as crystal, without any fumbling, without any misunderstanding, without any confusion. All right. What else is there to say? Do give thanks for your presence. If you know your Bible and you do not know your history, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. And of course, you know, it takes some real eyes to realize the real lies that are amongst us. Give thanks. Holy Manuel Selassie, Jah Rastafari. Blessed Lord. Alafia to each and every one. Salamta and blessed love. Honorable Priest Isaac here. It is with great joy that I am happy to announce to you that I have officially released my first ebook, Anno Ancient and Modern Revisited. This is the continuation process of our easy-to-read books. Within the pages of Anno Ancient and Modern Revisited, we take the time to show you the spiritual connection with the island of Antigua and Heliopolis in Kemet in Egypt, with the island of Antigua and the legendary continent of Atlantis. We also highlight Green Castle Hill, also known as Mount Anu, which is known as the Stonehenge of the Caribbean, with the countless of megaliths that align with the movements of the heavens. This is a must-read for all those who are students of the esoteric realms, astronomy, geology, and ancient sites. Of course, to get a copy of your book, all you have to do is to contact us at area code 1268-728-3162. Call, text, or even WhatsApp. Or you can email us at priestisaac27@gmail.com to get a copy of your ebook, Anno Ancient and Modern. It is an easy to read book, may appear light, but it is extremely heavy. Blessed Lord. Subscribe to the Mystic Vibration Shock of the Hour program today and receive our nightly show immediately after each and every broadcast. This will be done via the email and will be found in your inbox. For the small price of only 50 United States dollars, you will receive almost 20 hours of raw information, knowledge, research, and scholarship on various subject areas and topics that are necessary to be addressed at this time. In addition, all subscribers will receive our monthly video lecture series, which has a value of 20 United States dollars. They will receive the video lecture for free that is related to the month that they are subscribing for. To subscribe, call or WhatsApp 1268-728-3162 or email priestisaac27@gmail.com. The Mystic Vibration is a program that is every Monday to Thursday at 6 p.m. sharp Eastern Caribbean time on radioanu.com.
Ancient Israel, ancient story fit tell. Yes, yes, up a lalibela where the monk them a dwell. With them mescal, them a broke evil spell. Priest Isaac is an angel. Mystic vibration is an angel. And them nah go rebel. In a Zion where we dwell. When we broke for them spell. Priest Isaac is an angel. Yes, he's my angel. His foundations in the wall of mountain. Priest Isaac on the wall of mountain. Him block a reverence on the wall of mountain. Him chant a psalm on the wall of mountain. But never hesitate for yell the king. I take a Isaro Einin. So proud yes to be an offspring. Mystic vibration of the people them a sing. Angel, mystic vibration is an angel. And them nah go rebel. In a Zion where him dwell. When we broke for them spell. Priest Isaac is an angel. Yes, he's my angel. Priest Isaac is an angel. Mystic vibration is an angel. And them now go rebel. In a Zion where we dwell. When we broke for them spell. Priest Isaac is an angel. Yes, he's my angel. Trot on the banks of the gully. Isaac trotted through the hills and the valley. Trotted through the town, through the bloody city. Haile, 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 always with we. Haile, 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 I'll protect we. Haile, Haile, Haile,